Welcome to the House Rules Committee, or as we're calling it now, DC's hottest new night spot. Speaker Johnson has called a Rules Committee hearing for 1 a.m. Wednesday morning as part of this effort to ram through the Republicans' bad reconciliation bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, all the chairs and ranking members. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your testimony. Got a lot of questions, but I guess first I want to, maybe if the chairwoman would indulge me, give her an opportunity to say a word, and that is my assumption, and I think the assumption for most Americans, is that the reason Republicans have decided to notice this hearing and proceed in the dead of night is because this bill is indefensible. It sounds like maybe you have a different reason, and so I guess I'm trying to understand, why was this meeting scheduled for 1 a.m.? Why are we meeting at 3 a.m.? What was the rationale? Or is there a rationale that am I mistaken?
I think my opening statement stands for itself, Mr. Neguse.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, Madam Chair. I would just say, I mean, your opening statement essentially, as best as I could tell, were ruminations about, what happened in 2007, 20 years ago. I wasn't here. Most of us weren't here. I don't know that that is a cogent rationale to
2022, two and a half years ago.
And so the basis for scheduling this hearing in the dead of night is that you've decided that this is just the way things should work, and that this is, I mean, I'll just proceed. I'll just say this, Madam Chair. It does not take more than a cursory review online to find quotes from just about every member on the other side of the dais, including you, Madam Chair, back in 2009, again, it's a long time ago, regarding a stimulus bill that you described as rush legislation that was thrown together, quote, who threw together the final stimulus bill in the dead of night. Another bill that you, quote, said, the bill that was finalized in the dark of night. So I think it's an unfair and unreasonable mischaracterization of our position and with respect to the disagreement we have about this process unfolding in the dead of night. And it makes no sense to me why House Republicans didn't notice this hearing for 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. It would not have been a difficult thing to say, yeah, instead of meeting at 1 a.m., we're just going to meet in the morning. And the American people are going to be able to watch and hear this fulsome debate and be able to reach their own conclusions. That doesn't seem like an unreasonable position to take. And I suppose, and maybe I'll start with Chairman Arrington, because I know him to be a reasonable person. Welcome back to the committee. I don't know.
Now I'm nervous.
Well, I don't think you were here in 2007 either. Maybe you were.
No,
I don't think you were. Is this, I mean, you can't possibly agree that it is a prudent thing to do to have this hearing at 3 a.m. I mean, is this how you imagined legislation would be made in Washington when you were running for Congress, Mr. Chairman? Really?
I imagined that we would have the sense of urgency to complete the task in the time frame that we set.
And so the 5 hours between doing it at 1 a.m. and doing it at 6 a.m., that's the urgency you're describing? What deadline is there on Thursday, or tomorrow, I guess tonight, getting this bill done? What is the...
Well, as you know, there are time frames associated with each phase of the process when
Sure.
you are conducting regular order. I'm very proud that this has been bottom-up, committee and member-driven, and it's been a regular order process.
Mr. Arrington...
And the goal was to have it done by Memorial
All right,
Weekend.
I was hoping I could...
I'm not saying I like
you would give
getting-
me an intellectually honest answer, the kind of answer I think that your constituents and my constituents in Colorado and your constituents in Texas would expect, which is to say, obviously, this isn't reasonable. It does not make sense. This isn't transparent to hold hearings at 3 a.m. on a bill of this size and this scope and this scale. That's not in the best interests of the country. You could just as easily delay it 5 hours, let the American public have an opportunity to listen to this debate, and then vote on the bill on Thursday. And all of you could go home for the district work period. So this false sense of urgency for 5 or 6 hours makes no sense. And again, I understand that's your rationale. I think the American people are smarter than the House Republican caucus are giving them credit for. They know what this is about, and when they wake up, invariably, later this morning, and they find that this bill was reported out of this committee in the dead of night, I think they'll reach their own conclusions about House Republicans' commitment or lack thereof to transparency. And just for the record, because I want to be an equal opportunity advocate here with respect to some of your colleagues on the other side of the aisle who serve on this committee, who apparently have decided not to attend the very hearing that they demanded we hold in the middle of the night. But they have spent years condemning late-night rule committee markups and bills that are reported out. Mr. Norman, I'm just going to read some of his greatest hits. This is from 2019. 2,300 pages, less than 24 hours to read, debate, and vote. Oh, and $400 billion added to our national debt. That's an ex post. Another one. New swamp minibus dropped at 2 a.m. It was actually earlier, I guess, than where we find ourselves today. We're expected to vote on $1 trillion in spending tomorrow. It's 1,000 plus pages. This won't be good. Diving in now. Another one. You never be expected to sign a 1,000-page document to buy a new car in a day. Why should Congress be expected to sign off on 1,000 plus pages resulting in $1.2 trillion in spending in a day? That's our colleague, Mr. Norman. I'll be very interested to what he has to say when we wrap this hearing up at 10, 11 a.m. later this morning.